Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Spangler. I go by SanteeSwapper on the internet. I am a scouting memorabilia collector and dealer, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, although I originally grew up in South Carolina. I wanted to film a quick video for you guys and just kind of give you an overview about collecting Boy Scout merit badges. Now, I don't claim to be an expert at all in this topic. I have been collecting Boy Scout memorabilia since I was 14 years old, and not to give away my age, but that's been a few years. And so collecting merit badges is just one of the fun side collections that people can focus on in this hobby. And one of the problems with a lot of collections is that if you don't really speak the language and kind of know the different types and how collectors have referenced things and kind of set up the catalog system, then it's kind of hard to break into any of these collections. And so my goal here was just to kind of demystify that. Now, I do want to point you to my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. Right from the beginning, I want to tell you that's the website where I post all of my videos, where I have my newsletter that I send out via email to collectors all across the country several times a week. I also have a podcast, a long-suffering podcast that probably needs to get some more episodes recorded, and other projects that I work on in this hobby. And so definitely go to scoutpatchcollectors.com and check out what I've got going on. So why this video? Well, I have been working this week on my own personal merit badge collection, going through another collection that I had bought and trying to mingle in the needs that I had into my collection. And so since I was kind of doing that this week anyways, I thought, you know what? I've got all this stuff right here in my front office. I've been on the brain. I've been sort of eating, breathing, speaking merit badges for the last 2 or 3 days. Why don't I just jump on and record a little quick video and maybe just share some of that knowledge and also do a little show and tell to kind of let you guys see what I've got and maybe spark some interest out there in collecting and scouting memorabilia. A lot of the things that I do online are designed to kind of spark interest among newer collectors, young or old, to kind of get into this hobby. But again, going back to what I said earlier, I think sometimes this hobby can be a little opaque and hard to break into. Because it's such a small hobby in terms of the number of people, a lot of the reference guides and collectors' books that have been written for this hobby were always printed in very, very small quantities. And likewise, today, many of them are out of print. So if you wanted to start collecting scouting memorabilia and kind of really know what's going on, you have to really kind of do your homework to try to figure out what these things are, because a lot of the reference material is not very accessible. So I thought maybe a quick video, which obviously people today consume videos all the time, would be helpful. So here's what I want to say about merit badges. Merit badges are everywhere. Like, obviously, we're still issuing them today, but anyone who collects scouting memorabilia, whether you mean to or not, you're going to come across old merit badges. And what I'd like to do is just kind of show you what the different types are that collectors have cataloged and help you kind of understand what you have. Also, I want to help you speak the language, kind of empower you a little bit to understand when collectors throw out words like khaki crimped or wide tans, or, we have all these little, names that we understand what they mean, but it can be somewhat maybe intimidating for a newer collector to kind of understand all this. So I wanted to kind of demystify all of that language that we use in this hobby. So let me start off by showing you why I got interested in doing this and working on merit badges this week. All right, this is a collection that I purchased this week. So as I mentioned at the top, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am a memorabilia collector first and a dealer. And what I have always done in this journey is to purchase items that I would then use to help fund my collection. And this is a great example of that. This merit badge, these notebooks full of merit badges here, I went through the last 3 days and pulled out all the merit badges from this collection that I didn't have in my own personal collection, which I'll show you in a minute. And now I'm on the journey of trying to get these organized, and then I'll try to list them for sale, again, to help fund my collection. And so this guy was really organized, really organized. What he did was he had everything broken down by the title of the merit badge, and then within here he has all the different eras, or as I mentioned, I call them types. He has all the different types broken up, and so I've got a few examples I've set here on my desk that I will show you. So this is kind of what got me started this week. And then this is my collection, which I know will be very awkward to kind of hold it up to a video camera. It won't come out very well, but just to kind of show you what I've been doing. So this started about 10 years ago. Probably it's about right, probably 10 years ago. And what I did was I've been buying scouting memorabilia collections for a long time. But merit badges were a topic in the hobby that I just didn't speak the language. I didn't understand them. I didn't know which ones were good. I didn't know which ones were common. And so literally for years, every merit badge I got, every merit badge sash, just went into a Rubbermaid tote and I didn't touch it. And that went on for like a long time. Until eventually I did get some reference books out and I decided that I wanted to go through and organize the merit badges, glean out the ones that I didn't have because I didn't have any organized merit badge collection. And so for me, I'm a big checklist guy. You know, a lot of collectors, maybe that's good or bad, but we kind of have our checklists and that's how we come up with these collections. So luckily with merit badges, this is a topic that has been well researched, well documented in this hobby. And so it was really easy for me to find reference books and some checklists that I could go by. So this is me personally. I have to have everything labeled and organized. I don't think I'm a person that has OCD, but this is just my preference. So what I did was, and I'll show you the reference book in a second that I used Fred Dersh's merit badge book to come up with a checklist, and then I created labels. And so this is my merit badge collection here. And what I've done is I've organized it by the different eras, which I'll gladly kind of share with you. So that's the earliest generation. This is the next one. And then this is another style of merit badges, and another style of merit badges, and another style. And as you can see, I still have needs, right? So I have a lot of needs left. Although of this type right here, I just have one need left. Electricity. There's one with a blob hand where the embroidery is kind of funky. I need that. And then it keeps going. And then these, you know, getting into this sort of fully embroidered style is one that scouts today would be very much more familiar with. Some of these designs are the exact same designs that they're using today. So this is my own personal merit badge collection. I just have it in an art portfolio, and I use it that way. Now, how would you guys come across merit badges? Well, if you were to, maybe your father, your uncle, your brother, anybody in your family that was a scout from years ago, they're going to have a very different merit badge sash than you do. And so here's one that I recently got in a collection that I thought was really cool. I have actually a video of me unboxing this from the 1935 Jamboree. If you go search that on YouTube, you'll find it. But this is a good example of a merit badge sash that has the earliest style of merit badges, which we call square merit badges. And so you can see all of these, obviously, they're square, right? We didn't have to reinvent the wheel on that. In this case, he also has his rank patches at the top. And I'll tell you a little bit about these square merit badges in just a second. Some other show and tell here I thought was kind of interesting. This is a much, much more modern merit badge. These are from the 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s. And what's interesting here, just to give you an idea, is a lot of people who collect merit badges, because of the size of merit badges, they're very similar to the size of a $50 coin. And so coin collectors have actually created different holders and little pages and stuff for coin collections. And so merit badge collectors figured out that they could borrow the coin collector's system and then use that. So these don't want to come out there and pretty tight. But this just kind of gives you an idea of how some people in the hobby store their merit badges. This system doesn't work for square merit badges. And that's why actually this guy I showed you earlier here. He had a separate notebook for his square merit badges because they're so much bigger, they won't fit in those coin holders, whereas everything else that he had fit in the coin holder. So he had his square merit badges in a separate notebook with bigger pages. So All right. I mentioned a little bit ago that there's a long history of cataloging merit badges. And so I went into my little reference library and pulled out some books to show you. Here's one right here. This is one of the earliest ones that I could put my hands on. Not saying this is the earliest one out there, but by Loyal Faulkner, and merit badges 1911 to 1981. And then here's a name that some of you might recognize, a guy named Rick Hubbard, who I don't believe is with us anymore. This is the Merit Badge Chronicle. This was a book, that he did, and you can kind of see the general idea here, the merit badge designs. A guy that I know very well, Chris Jensen, in the 1990s. This came out in 1994. He did a merit badge price guide, and his was more of just more spreadsheets and had prices in there, which is really helpful. Another one here from Fred Dersch, which I already mentioned. This was his checklist for one certain genre of merit badges. And then this is the book that's really the go-to one. And so there is, I believe, a 6th edition out of this book. This is the 3rd edition. I apologize. In the short time that I had to get ready for this video, when the idea popped into my brain to actually gathering all these resources, I couldn't put my hands on the latest edition. And I think that's because I use it so often. It's laying somewhere around my office, and I just don't keep it in my library. But this is a 3rd edition, which is great as well. And the advantage here, if you want to look for this book, is that it has color pictures of all the merit badge designs, and then it also has what era they existed in. So this is really, with this one book, you really could unlock the key. This book is not available on Amazon. I checked. It might, again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes in our hobby, it's a little hard to find the references. I've actually sold this book for Fred before, and I may need to do that again and offer that on my website. But here is a book that is accessible on Amazon that anyone could order. And if you're interested at all in scouting memorabilia, I highly recommend Mitch Reese's book. This is the 2021 edition, the 5th edition. I actually interviewed Mitch for my podcast, the Scouting Hot Finds Radio podcast. So you can go to my website again, scoutpatchcollectors.com, and find that podcast. This is a terrific, terrific book about how all of the different scouting memorabilia that's been issued. And well, I just flipped right past it. So there is in Mitch's book a section on merit badges, right? Not in color, maybe not as specific as what Fred has done, but Mitch kind of recognizes Fred's work, and I guess most of us are using Fred as sort of the guy, the reference guy. All right, so what I want to do now is kind of go into the different types, which I know is what some of you are showed up for, and just kind of explain this to you. Again, what I want to do in this brief overview is just kind of unwrap how do merit badge collectors categorize merit badges so that the ones that you have sitting around your house, or maybe in grandpa's collection or uncle's collection or whoever, you can kind of understand what those different time periods are. Okay, so starting off, I'm gonna use Fred's book because, as I mentioned, this is kind of the go-to for us. Fred talks about there being a type A square merit badge. I already showed you some of those. Let me just say from the beginning, because I know we'll have some die-hard collectors that'll watch this video later, you're not telling them about type AA. So serious merit badge collectors go down rabbit holes, okay? And anybody who has collected anything, you know what I'm talking about when I say rabbit holes. You can take any collectible out there and you can parse it, and you can really, 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 really go specific. And so what merit badge collectors have done, real serious, in-depth ones, is they've taken this type square, which is everything pre-1933, okay? And they have tried to figure out which ones actually existed during the 19-teens. So the first 10 years that the Boy Scouts of America was alive. And in Fred's book, in the back, he actually has a reference for teen type merit badges, these type AAs. And I won't show you that again because I'm not trying to go down rabbit holes. I'm trying to give you the overview. But for me personally, in my collection, what I have done is I have said, okay, there's a type A square merit badge, and that's what I'm focused on. So it's real easy for square merit badges. They're square. That's how you can spot them. However, there is one thing that you will commonly see with square merit badges, and that is that, maybe I should grab one of these sashes to show you. So one of the problems with square merit badges is that they were not always consistently the same size. And in fact, you can almost see it on this sash that on the edge of these square merit badges, and I'm just going to say the word mom because these were boys, and probably in the 1930s, it was their mom who was sewing patches on a merit badge sash. What the moms did was they had to fold the material under in order to make all the merit badges the same size. But if you unfolded them, sometimes they were not exactly the same size. So that was kind of an odd thing during this time, that the patches you got weren't actually ready to be sewn. You had to sort of fold them over to make them fit on the sash. Probably drove some moms crazy. So what some moms did was they got out their scissors, and they said, to heck with this idea of folding things over. I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off this excess material, everything outside the green ring. And so we call this in the hobby cut to round. And it's a little hard to spot them, although, as I'll show you in a minute, the other generations of merit badges, there really isn't any reason to cut them to round. So most merit badges that you find, as long as the background khaki twill color matches this sort of generation, then you can probably assume that it's a square merit badge cut to round. Now, just like you would imagine with any collectible, that does really ding the value pretty bad. And so that would sort of be a filler for me. I have a couple of those in my collection where they're patches that were kind of cut to round, or maybe it would have a little bit of a border, but it's kind of obvious that they were square merit badges. So that's not good, but moms did what they had to do. So those are type squares, type A squares. There's a lot of type A squares, and some of them are very, very hard to get. One thing about, you go back in time, the trick is with collecting merit badges is that sometimes, like in type A square, you have certain merit badges that were issued sort of at the end of this generation. And so I can think of two examples of this that I'm aware of. I can't show them to you because I don't have them in my collection. They're pretty hard to get. But two merit badges I can think of in particular that were introduced in the early 1930s. And they were right at the point where the Boy Scouts were getting ready to transition away from this square merit badge style, type A, to type B. Yes, type B, which I'll show you in a second, is called wide tans. Those two examples are rowing merit badge and pigeon raising merit badge. So you wouldn't think rowing merit badge, I work at a summer camp in the summer, and we still teach rowing merit badge. The design of the merit badge is still the same. But let me see here. I know Fred's book, he mentions what year the merit badges came out. And so I think with rowing, what happened was it came out. Yep. See here. So rowing merit badge, according to Fred's book, and again, I'm consulting it, came out in 1933. So this merit badge wasn't born until the last year that this style of merit badges were being issued. And so, kind of do the math, right? Only the kids who earned that merit badge in 1933, or maybe if you carry over for a year or two, are going to get the square version. Everybody else that earns rowing merit badge is going to get the next generation, which I'll show you, the wide tans. And so, that's a hard one to get. Pigeon raising, the same thing happens. Let me look in here and see what year pigeon raising comes out as a merit badge. Also 1933. Thank you, Fred. Then there's a couple of other quirky ones that they sort of change designs. There's a weather merit badge. I actually did get one of these in this collection, by the way. Woohoo! There's a weather merit badge that its original design was of a sort of a shooting star comet. And that was from 1927 to 29. Let me just show you a picture of it. I do have the actual patch of this. That's it right there. And I know this is backward in your camera. Sorry for that. And then they went to this weather vane style in 1930. So weather merit badge is an example of that. And then the last one, I don't want to, again, this is an overview, but a couple of these are really just kind of cool, so I have to show them to you. The other one I don't have either, and that is insect study merit badge. So insect study merit badge, when it comes out in 1923, this is what it looks like. And as some of you might know, if you're scientific at all, a spider is not an insect. It is an arachnid. And so that's a little faux pas. And so that design only lasted for like 1923, 1924 before somebody figured out that's really not an insect. And so then it went to this little guy right here, which is much more common. And so that's another hard one to find. The spider, There's a couple of other little ones like that, but again, I don't want to focus on the holy grails. That's not the point here. These are patches I don't have either, so we'll leave those behind. Let's go on to the next generation, the next type, which is type B, which is a very challenging type to collect, I will tell you. So what's cool about this sash, and I'm using this as my show and tell because it works really well, is that it shows you the transition between the pre-1933 and before, when you have the square merit badges, okay? This scout, I have his merit badge, I have his card. He got his eagle in 1934. And in 1934, the Boy Scouts finally listened to those moms who were struggling to fold over and sew these patches. And the Boy Scouts of America issued their merit badges now in what collectors call a wide border crimped merit badge. So these are sewn on, and you can see when I say wide border, this border around that's round, it's about a quarter of an inch or so. I'm sure that somebody can say there's exact centimeters, but maybe 3/16, a quarter of an inch. And so we have their home repairs, carpentry, interpreting, and a basketry merit badge. Those are probably the last four that this Eagle Scout earned. By the way, that's upside down mechanical drawing. Doesn't matter. Let me show you a close-up of one just so you can see. So I know my camera's going to get a little funky-fied here, but this is home repairs, and you can look at the back. And so kind of what happens when we say crimped, what we mean is that there is a permanent, and it's pretty permanent. I mean, you can iron the heck out of this, and you're still going to see that line. But there is this permanent crease or crimp that is made into the merit badge to make it round. So that is what they mean when they say wide crimped. They mean that it's got this permanent crimp, and it's about a quarter of an inch. So you will see these, and it is obvious, and I'll hold up, when I go to the next one, I'll hold up and show you. These are easy to spot once you kind of understand them. Now the problem, the problem with wide border crimped merit badges is that they only existed 34, 35, and 36. So they're pre-World War II. It's only a 3-year window. And so it is tough today to get a complete collection of those. I've been doing this for a long time, although I don't specifically go out looking for specific patches. I just, what I've already demonstrated, I get collections in and I go through. But I have, I think, over 24 needs in the wide crimped varieties. They're very hard to find. You just don't see them. They don't come around very often. That was just a short window of time. The next type C, existed for 10 years, and so these are much easier to find. These are tan narrow border crimped, or tan narrow. We've got several examples here, and I'll pull one up and show you. Well, I don't know if these are the best examples. Where was that one I had? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So I'll hold this one up kind of close to let you see it. So this is rolling merit badge, like I mentioned before. And so this is, you can tell sort of that coffee color. I always look on the back. Sometimes the front can get a little bit faded, but I think the back is easy to see. It's kind of a coffee tan brown color. And you can see in this one that there is a permanent crease there. Now this one's been laid flat and ironed, but there is that crimp there. Okay, that's why I need to use the word crimp, not crease. That is your tan narrows. And again, if we hold it up to the one that I just had in my hand, you can see the difference, right? So this is 1934, and I know that it's also interesting to see the material is a little bit different, right? Now, don't let the material confuse you, because a lot of times you think about things being manufactured pre-World War II. They probably were inconsistencies in the bolt of cloth that they grabbed to make these with, and so you'll kind of see different color variations. And then also the laundering material, the laundering cleaning supplies, whatever you'd say, the laundry detergent, let's use that word. The laundry detergent from those days was kind of rough on making things fade and stuff. So sometimes the colors can get a little backwards. But here again, what we're looking for is we're looking for the distance between that green circle and the crimp, okay? So that's how you can tell those different. All right, the next one, type D, is a World War II issue, 1942 to 1946. Interestingly enough, not all merit badges exist in this fine twill. We sometimes call this sand twill, and these are extremely hard to find. So basic story is that during World War II, there was all kinds of rationing going on. The Boy Scouts of America were not immune to that. And so when I mentioned earlier about grabbing the bolt of fabric that you were going to make the merit badges from, during World War II, the Boy Scouts didn't have access to that same heavy duty twill material that they were previously using to make merit badges. So they had to use a fine twill cloth in order to make the merit badges. So here's an example of one, and I'll pull this out and show you. This is Animal Industry Merit Badge, and this is on fine twill. By the way, this is how the guy that I bought the collection, this is how he had his collection organized, where everything was in individual little holders, and it was all super duper. So a couple of things here, and I'll hold this up to the camera kind of close. So it's a little hard to tell, but fine twill, the background of it is this really smooth twill, okay? That's why they call it fine twill. It's really smooth, and it's a lighter color, and it's also thin. Like if I hold this up to the light, I can see through it because it's a really thin patch. So it is a little bit hard to spot these, except when you see one of these next to a patch like this, which is the next generation, then it's very obvious. So these are a little hard to spot, but they're very hard to find as well. I have several dozen needs of this fine twill. The other kind of interesting thing is not all merit badges were issued in this because it was just a short period of time during World War II. Some merit badges, they never really exhausted the inventory they had in that merit badge type. And so I think it's like 85 merit badges, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 85 merit badges exist in this type of cloth, which is not all of them. But again, all this would be in Fred's book, so you can go there. All right, the next type of merit badge is the one that many of you are going to be more familiar with, and I showed you a Farm Mechanics a second ago. This is a type E. We call this khaki narrow border crimped, and so this is what I would sort of call an army green color. That's the best way I can describe it to you guys, kind of an army green color. This is the 1946 or 47 through 1960. So all of those baby boomers, like basically all the baby boomers born during that time period, this is the merit badge they're going to get. This is much more common than anything else that I have let you see so far. This particular merit badge I'm holding up is Farm Mechanics. I have over here, this box is full of merit badge sashes. It's literally 2 layers. This is part of my collection. And I'm sure I can reach in here really quickly and pull out one from that generation and show you a whole merit badge sash full of these guys. Ooh, actually, let me pull this one out. That's a good, maybe I should have done that earlier. Huh? Let's see. Yeah, okay. We could have a whole nother debate about whether or not when you're collecting merit badges, whether you should keep them on the sash or off the sash. I luckily am kind of to the point with my collection where I don't try and take merit badges off merit badge sashes anymore. I'm not saying it's sacrilegious. I'm pretty agnostic about that, but I try to get them already taken off rather than sort of going through and cutting them. These are the type E, the khaki narrow crimped. And this is on an Explorer sash. So the same merit badges, but just on Explorer sash. And again, you can see how narrow that is. When we talk about narrow, that's the narrow border. And they are this khaki army green color. Okay, so this is 1947 to 1960. In that box, I grabbed another sash. And I thought this one was really cool because it has something that I just mentioned. Again, I probably should have done some more homework here. Obviously, we have the eagle medal. That's nice. But looking at the sash, just because I've done this so long, I can spot a couple of sand twills really quickly. And I thought it would be helpful for you to look and see. So if you look here, this is personal health, okay? This is, again, an upside down bird study. Come on, Mom, look at the book. But these 2 guys here, 1, 2, 3, and I think even, 4, here are 4 sand twills or fine twills. I call them sand twills, but you can see the difference here. You see that green border, this kind of an army green versus the tan. And if you look in really close, you can kind of see that there's almost like no twill direction on these. It's really different. So that's a good example of that. So again, you're going to find these everywhere. These are really common. All right, the next type is type F, and these are rolled edge khaki twills, and they're basically the patch of the 1960s. So for fun out of that collection, I wanted to go with a merit badge, and I've chosen Botany merit badge. This is the khaki rolled edge, and you can obviously see how this is working. Now we still have the same sort of army green color background. That's a twill. And then finally, the parents got what they wanted. We have a rolled edge border. And so this is really easy. This is basically 1960s. I mean, 61 through 68. All of the merit badges from that time period are going to have this design. They have a twill background, and then on the back, you know, it's not plastic back, that hadn't come around yet, hadn't been invented, but they have this border. So that's your botany of that generation. The next generation, which starts in 1969, is going to be type G, and this is clothback. So here's the same merit badge, but now it's fully embroidered. So just to kind of do the side-by-side comparison, same merit badge. This is the 1960s version. This is the late 60s, early 70s. We call this 69 to 71. And I can show you how it stands out, what makes a difference. The difference is this is still clothback. And so if you come across any clothback merit badges, they're basically 1971 or before. And these fully embroidered ones, that is that little time period. So this can be a little bit of a challenging one to collect, in that you have a narrow time span of just 3 or 4 years where you have fully embroidered and clothback, no plastic. But that's type G. The other thing that happens during this time period is, and this is when they also add the silver border around these embroidered merit badges to signify that they're Eagle required merit badges. And so I don't have any of those that I've grabbed to show you, but I'm sure if any of you are a Boy Scout, that's something you've seen, right? But that whole thing of having a silver border to designate Eagle required merit badges starts in 1969, starts with this group. And then let me hold this one up right next to it. So this is what's kind of interesting. So this is a type G, and this is a type H plastic back. So these look exactly the same. I know they do, right? But here's the difference. If I reach in here and pull this guy out, the difference is that this one has a plastic back and this one does not. Any of you guys who are scouts today, you'll recognize on the back of your patches that today there's like a sublimated plastic backing that says Scout stuff or has some kind of other designation on it. Well, when these plastic back patches first came out in 1972, they did not. And so for about 30 years, this type H, all the way up from 72 to 2002, all the merit badges are going to come in this style, okay? Now, I'm just going to discriminate and say the last 20 years of plastic back merit badges, I don't need to go through and show you all examples of that, because anyone who's in the program today knows what those look like. I will, however, show you one other oddball merit badge that exists in Fred's book, and you sometimes come across them, although they are very, very hard to find. They're weird. Fred and other collectors call this a type I, issued between 1993 and 1995, and there's only about 30 of this type known. So let me show you to you and see if you can tell the difference. Oh, got a little pin or something. So here's what this is kind of called. This is a computer-generated style, and where the weave and the stitching are very, very precise. Now, if you kind of look here, really to me, the border is what stands out. This border is like extra thick, and it's really, really shiny. Now, I could compare that to this plastic back merit badge. And again, putting them side by side, maybe that's not even fair to compare. I know it's hard to see in the camera, but what sort of jumps out at me is this border. I can spot this border from a mile away. It's just so different than the other plastic back borders. And this was just kind of a funky deal where, you know, National Boy Scout Supply Division ordered them from a different manufacturer. Some people call this the California one. I don't know if there's really a connection to being made in California, but there's only about 30 of this type known, and it's real random which merit badges exist. But again, Fred has those in the book. There's also two different sizes. There's a 38 millimeter and a 42 millimeter of this. So guys, this is a rabbit hole. So I'm just trying to tell you these things exist, but I wouldn't want anyone to feel bad if they don't have a complete collection of all 30 different ones of those. Don't stress about it. So, all right. That is kind of the end of the overview. I will say this, you could keep going. Fred and other collectors have documented more about the plastic backings. And so, you go from having the clear plastic back, which is the type H, to having a Scout stuff back. I think in the 2010 Boy Scouts of America celebrating their anniversary, they put a different plastic backing on them. And so, most collectors, I'll just be honest, don't collect the back of the patch. They collect the front of the patch. And so most people are not going to sort those out. I haven't done that yet either. For my collection that I showed you in the portfolio binder, I don't have a collection, for example, of type I or things afterwards, or type J, which has the Scout Supply Division, just simply because I haven't taken the time. I guess I feel like they're modern patches and I'm more collectible, vintage type stuff. But to really be a merit badge collector, I do have to go and organize that, because there's so many merit badges that have only come out during the time after 2002 when you have this Scout stuff backing. Lots and lots of merit badges, everything from composite materials. Oh gosh, there's a bunch, but I won't try to list them. I'll make myself look silly. But there's probably a dozen merit badges that have just come into existence in the last 20 years, and so they only exist in that type. So you definitely don't want to discriminate against that. So, anyways. Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. I hope you'll go to my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. There I'll have lots more resources. This is the first time I've tried to film kind of an impromptu video to kind of coach people up about these different topics in the hobby. Although I've done lots and lots of videos over the year, this is just kind of new for me to try to do it this way. Here's why I'm doing it, because my next project, now that I have gone through and sorted out, I have bags and bags of merit badges. Did I say bags? I meant boxes. I have boxes of merit badges that I now need to go through and organize them by the types that I just showed you, and then try to photograph them and make them available to others. And so again, I'm a collector first, so my focus here was to get my collection as complete as I could. And now that I know that I have duplicates, then I can try to make those available. So check me out on the internet. I would appreciate if you would like, subscribe, or comment to this video just to give me some feedback and also help those metrics. Appreciate it very much.